G'day guys, ZiggyD here, and today I want to let you guys know that Diablo 3's patch 2.0.1 has gone onto the live servers. So the beta is down and the PTR is down, but now the patch has rolled on over to the live servers. So it's a great time to actually jump on and try out some of the new features before you maybe decide whether you want to buy Reaper of Souls or not. But the bad news about this, of course, is that the beta, Reaper of Souls beta, is down, which means no more Hardcore Witch Doctor. He was going so well too, but that's what happens in betas. Things get wiped and betas close. But the good news is we have a bunch of really cool stuff to play around with on the live servers without having to worry about any wipes. Everything we actually do now on the live game will progress over into Reaper of Souls. So it feels pretty good to be back on my actual Demon Hunter and not some sort of creepy clone of her. So yeah. In this video, I want to cover what's actually in patch 2.0.1, at least the main things. The patch notes were massive. I'll link them down to below if you want to check them out and if you want to check out some of the changes to your class and things like that. But massive patch notes, but I want to talk about the really cool stuff that's going on in patch 2.0.1 and why you guys probably will want to jump back into the game and give it a bit of a go. I actually live streamed it today and we had quite a few viewers check it out, and quite a few other people jump in, and we played around and tested a lot of really cool stuff, and it's looking really good so far. So let's talk about the first most obvious thing, because we're seeing some stuff appear in the bottom left there. You're noticing clan chat. Yes, clans have been added into the live game now. I can actually press N here and bring up my clan here, KTC, Knowledge to Conquer. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of different stuff going on with the clan system. I've showed off the clan system in another video, but now it's gone over to the live system, to the live game. So if you've always wanted to, form a clan, be able to keep in touch with your friends better, or join a clan, with some other like-minded people, then the clan system is now in the game, and you're free to create your own clan or search other clans. If you actually click on the communities button over here, you can actually find communities just by searching here. So there's there's the Reddit community, there's like a bunch of different communities and things like that, so that you can find. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But the clan system is a bit more like closer knit, and we can see my clan here. You can see things like there's the roster with all the different players in it, lots of requests, and you can see like different people in the actual roster, their different avatars. You can click on them, view their profile, and you can even like see different news things. The clan chat itself is really cool. Like, we've been having people chatting in here pretty much since I put the clan together, and it's been really sort of cool. It's been really nice to have sort of this like more interaction. Whereas like a friends list is just like a one-to-one sort of thing. A clan is more about like a group of people coming together and discussing, and it will make it easy to find games and stuff like that moving forward as well. So clans, awesome addition. It's been something we've been wanting for a long time, and it's now in the live game. So let's talk about some of the really big things. The really big things. First one, Loot 2.0 is in the game. Now, a lot of stuff that will be done with Loot is level 61 to 70, but the core basis of Loot 2.0 and a lot of the core changes have already happened and hit the live servers now. So what is Loot 2.0? There's a few aspects of Loot 2.0, and I'll just mouse over a random Loot 2.0 drop here. This Andy's Visage, and we'll talk about some of the core features. The first thing of Loot 2.0 is that items are more likely to drop that will be useful for your character. Now, this means that it's going to be base items that your character can use. As a Demon Hunter, you're more likely to find bows and quivers than you are to find Witch Doctor, offhands, and Barbarian belts. And the second part of that is you're more likely to have them drop with the correct stats on them for you. So you're going to have them drop with things that boost Demon Hunter skills. For example, this pair of shoulders I crafted has a Rain of Vengeance mod on it that increases the damage of Rain of Vengeance. So there's also new features to Loot 2.0, but you're actually able to get things for your class on items, and it's fairly likely that they'll drop. Occasionally you will get an item for another class, but for the most part you're going to get things that are useful for you, like 90 to 95% of the time. And that's pretty cool to be actually playing. And well, I guess just on the flip side, I've always heard people saying, man, I'm always playing on my wizard and finding quivers. But now, you're only going to be finding the quivers if you're playing your Demon Hunter. So it's a pretty good change overall, and it makes a lot of sense with the account binding and stuff that's going on in Reaper of Souls and patch 2.0. The second part of Loot 2.0, so the first thing is that they all drop, they're more likely to be useful for you. The second part is they're more likely to be useful in general. Whereas items would drop on a scale of 1 to 100 in terms of awesomeness, 1% awesome, 100% awesome, they're now likely to drop in 75 to 100. So items are always on the pretty awesome to awesome scale. So let's take a look at the range here. This is a crafted item. This is actually one of the Archon crafts. But it's affected by Loot 2.0 as well, just the same as drops. And if we hold control, this is actually a new feature as well, you can see the range of items here. You'll see the range of dex is 200 to 219. Not exactly a large range. The vitality, 300 to 329. But the range is much smaller than what it was before. I wonder if we can actually see the range on some of our older items, perhaps. 26 to 83, you can see a pretty big range on the strength there. Not sure if this is based off the old ranges or the newer ranges, but in general, you're more likely to find stuff that is potentially an upgrade. And we sort of talked to a few people in the live stream today, and even myself found some upgrades. I've found some items that were potential upgrades, and found an item like this pair of shoulders here that I crafted, which was a definite upgrade. So, and on my wizard, I found actually quite a few upgrades. So, and I'm pretty well geared, reasonably well geared. You know, I spent a fair bit of time in the auction house gearing up my characters, getting their gear good, but I was still able to go in and within a few hours find some upgrades. Pretty nice stuff. Who'd have thought, finding upgrades? But the really kick-ass thing is if you're sort of like under-geared, your gear's not that good, or maybe your gear's just mediocre, if you jump on and play for a few hours, you're probably going to find at least one upgrade, probably more than that. So, if you have bad gear, now is the time to jump on Diablo 3, because it's going to be fun to actually find your own upgrades for once. And tell you what, it's pretty satisfying stuff. So that's Loot 2.0, that's the core of Loot 2.0. Stuff that is likely to be useful for you, and stuff that's more likely to be useful in general. There's a few other little pieces of Loot 2.0 going on, including Legendaries actually scale, so you'll see lower level Legendaries scaled up to your level and still be pretty useful. So I thought something like Saffron Wrap here, a very high defense belt, as you can see 32% increased toughness from that belt, is something that could drop. I also found something earlier, but I think I might have salvaged it. It was actually a level 20 bow, a level 20 legendary bow that scaled up and was almost an upgrade. I ended up salvaging it, but it was something that had scaled up from level 20 to level 60, so you can actually find there's more legendaries. Basically there's more potentially good legendaries, and a lot of the legendaries themselves have actually been rebalanced. For example, I've got the Duncraig Cross here from Blackthorn's set, and you'll see the Blackthorn set has the new set bonuses. So for set, you're immune to Desecrated, Molten Plagued, and there's different rebalance stats and stuff like that for the actual set bonuses. Pretty cool stuff. Overall, legendaries have been improved. And you can see things like the Andy's Visage has the chance on hit to release a Poison Nova, and all that sort of jazz. Another aspect of Loot 2.0 is actually the primary and secondary stats, but I don't think that actually becomes too relevant until we actually move into Reaper of Souls, where you can actually start Mystic crafting those things. So, the second big thing is Paragon 2.0. Let's go take a look at Paragon. So now, your Paragons are now account-wide, so if you had something like a level 100 Paragon character and you had another level 150, your new level Paragon account level will be something like 130-ish or something like that. I actually have some unspent points because I leveled on my wizard a little bit. It also means whenever you level any max level character, all the Paragon XP is going into helping all of your classes. Now, the second part of that is, apart from it just being account-wide, is that per character you can actually spend those points as bonuses, and you can respec these at any time. But for example, I can get some extra hatred here because I had an extra point there, and I'll grab some more resource cost reduction there to help my build out. And each time I level, a point's going to go into here, here, and here. Like, you'll get 1 point per level into each one of these. So, you can essentially custom tailor your character more. And this is really interesting. Just like having move speed in the core stats here, you can potentially drop 12% move speed from your boots, get some of the affix there, and use Paragon to instead cap out your move speed. And, oh, apparently I didn't apply those. I need to accept. But, it also just gives you a lot more customization of your character. So you can spend into Dex, Fight, Move Speed, Maximum Hatred in Core. Offensive can be like just like crit damage, attack speed, cooldown reduction, things like that. Life percent, armor, resist all, life regeneration, and utility skills. There's a few extra utility skills, including one of the new ones like area damage, which is a splash damage that can proc 1/5 of the time when you attack with any attack, causing extra splash damage. So the new Paragon system is much cooler than the old ones. It's far more interesting, and it makes sense with the phasing out of magic find as well. So instead, we now don't have to worry about getting magic find from Paragon levels. We're getting actual ways to customize our character more, which is pretty cool. I think it's something Diablo 3 needed a little bit more of. So Loot 2.0, Paragon 2.0. The next thing I want to talk about is monster density changes and combat changes. So let's go to Cemetery of the Forsaken. We'll actually play some Diablo in this video, guys. Don't worry. This one might be a bit of a longer video, but it should be pretty fun. So, how loud is this? This isn't too loud. So, next thing is combat change. There's been a few changes to combat. Firstly, the actual metagame has changed quite a bit. Density has been lowered. That sounds like a bad thing, right? But in practice, I think it's quite a good thing, and I really enjoy the new combat in 2.0. So what's actually happened is density has been lowered, but the difficulty and XP reward of mobs has been increased. And you're also encouraged to play on different difficulties. We'll show the difficulty system off in a short while. But as you can see, like, you know, there's still some larger packs here. But overall, density is not quite as crazy. You're not really ever fighting screenfuls of mobs. Every now and then you will, but for the most part, most zones have about the same level of density, and they're much lower than what it was before. So it's more difficult mobs, and a little bit less dense, but higher reward. So you actually get far more Paragon XP now than you were before the patch, despite the lower density, and it ends up working to be pretty cool. Now, this kind of factors into another important change, the removal of life steal. Now, there still is some life steal in the game at level 60. It will be completely removed in Reaper of Souls, but for now, there's a little bit left. But for the most part, the game is moving away from life steal as a core stat. Now, I didn't like life steal all that much. What life steal did was you could take as much damage as you wanted without getting one shot, and as long as you dealt enough damage, you would just instant heal yourself. And that meant your health was pretty much just flicking around. You really didn't care about what your health did for the most part. And building a character was as simple as stacking as much stats as you can, getting as much damage as you can, and stacking life steal, and that's pretty much it. There was no interesting decisions to be made. Combat was boring and non-tactical. In the new game, I just Paragon leveled, that's pretty awesome, we'll be able to spend a new point. In the new game, with the removal of lifesteal, you have options about how you heal your character. Now this Demon Hunter just here is kind of like a run and gun Demon Hunter, it only gets hit occasionally. So what I'm actually doing is stacking Vitality. Now I have currently 80k life, I can get a lot more than that. I'd hope to get it to like 100 to 150k by stacking some more Vitality as I alter some of my gear over the future. And what the benefit of doing this is stacking Vitality and percentage life, like there and in my helmet, gives me a very big pool of life. Then what I can do is use things like Smokescreen, which regenerate a specific amount of my life, as a percentage of your actual life. Now by stacking a lot of Vitality, I'm actually making this more effective. So this heals me by 15% of my life while I'm invisible. That's a flat amount. No matter how much HP I have, it's always going to heal me for 15%. So by stacking a lot of life, that becomes much more effective. And this works really well with my playstyle. I try and, avoid damage, and when I do take damage, I try and heal myself up. So let's just take a little bit of damage, and you'll get to see that in effect. I have a little bit of regen. Apparently I'm just like killing those guys with thorns and stuff. There we go, let's take a little bit more damage. There we go. So, okay, I take a few hits, maybe an elite hits me with an elite affix or something like that. I use my percentage regen there to heal myself back up, and then I have time for my discipline to cool down. It makes an interesting sort of resource management, and it means I need to avoid taking constant damage. Like I don't want to stand around in Plagued or Molten and things like that, but I can take some damage and heal myself up very effectively, and I have the HP to take those big hits every now and then. So that's one strategy. The second strategy, and this is for people that more want to face tank and things like that, is to stack mitigation through armor and all resist, and then to stack healing. So basically we're talking regen and life gain on hit, especially if they're a fast attacking character. If they're a slower attacking character, they might want to focus more on regen. What this means is with mitigation and a lower life pool, so they don't worry about vitality too much, let's say I instead have 50k life, any regen I have is much more effective. I reduce the amount of damage I take through mitigation, so through toughness from armor and resist, and then my healing becomes much more effective. So the removal of life steal means that instead of just your healing being tied to your offense, which is very boring and linear, you now have an option about whether you stack a lot of life or whether you stack a lot of mitigation and regen and things like that. And it also affects combat by quite a bit as well. I talk a lot when I'm playing this, and I've been talking about a lot in the Witch Doctor series, that when you're like sort of in combat now, Diablo 3 is a much more tactical game. I'm like trying to think about how I can mitigate the amount of damage I'm taking. So I'm fighting these guys, I'm paying attention to what they are. Thunderstorm, alright, I took some hits there, so I'll heal myself back up. Try and burst these guys down. I'm trying to avoid as much damage as I can, only taking damage every now and then that I can heal, because if I take too much damage over time, I'll run out of discipline and I won't be able to heal myself up effectively. There's also this concept which the devs talked about when I did my developer interview a little while back, about time to death. They talked about this concept of time to death. Previously, time to death in Diablo 3 was about 1.5 seconds. You could be killed very quickly in Diablo. Now it's closer to 10 seconds, and this is what they actually want. They want you to be able to have options in combat, like, okay, do I stand in this molten stuff and take some damage and try and heal through it? However, it limits the amount of healing I can do over time. and then maybe the next fight becomes a bit more difficult, or maybe if it's a prolonged fight, I might not have enough healing to keep up with the amount of damage I'm taking. So instead you have to make some decisions about how you actually avoid the damage that's incoming, and how you heal yourself. So you pay attention to things like life globes are very important, healing wells, and you also, if you're like a life gain on hit character, you're trying to minimize the amount of damage you're taking while maximizing the amount you're still hitting, so you can keep your life gain on hit going. Whereas myself, I'm trying to avoid damage for the most part, and when I do take those hits, trying to take them pretty infrequently. So I'm rewarded by playing well, basically. What it all comes down to. If you play well, you'll be rewarded by increased character performance, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So, next thing I want to talk about is class changes. Alright, that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big one. So, all of the classes have had huge balance changes, and actually kind of I liken them more to overhauls. My favorite one and the best example of is the Wizard. The Wizard before was Archon Wizard, CM Wizard, and that's about it. You know, people might have tinkered with other specs, but those were easily the most effective. Now, Wizards have been overhauled, and they're now Masters of the Elements. So you have Fire Wizards, Ice Wizards, Lightning Wizards, and Arcane Wizards. And you can even mix and match up some skills a little bit, but you're given advantages by sticking to certain elemental types and looking for synergies within those. And I've tried countless different wizard specs now, and a lot of them have been really, really effective. The Demon Hunter has been made more true to form, very high firepower. A lot of her damage skills have been toned up, so she's now much more effective with different skills, and along with like the changes to like healing on smokescreen and things like that. If you take a look at Shadow Power is now life gain on hit instead. If you want to go for a more defensive style, you'll use life gain on hit from Shadow Power, and there's way too many changes to go through. I highly recommend checking out the class notes for below there, but overall the changes are really good, making the classes more close to their theme, and also to suit the new combat style and the new tactical approach. It does mean things like Barb don't work the same as they used to, and Perma Archon is no longer a thing, but these are really good things in my mind because they enable a lot of class diversity, and there's a lot of extra builds to actually play around with. And we tried quite a heap on stream, and I ended up on this sort of fast-moving Grenader spec that I'm playing now, using like the grenades passive and things like that, and I'm pretty happy with how this goes as sort of like a shoot and scoop character with lots of firepower and very bursty. So along with the metagame changes, Demon Hunter especially, just talking as a Demon Hunter player myself, Demon Hunter's become a lot more effective because the reduction in mob density means that her like smaller area but higher burst damage skills are much more effective now and actually pretty viable. You don't need to run Lightning Ball, you don't need to run multi-shot and things like that. So it's pretty good, but I think the changes overall are very good for the classes, and especially Wizard. Wizard went from being not even on my radar to being like my number 2 class now, just behind the Demon Hunter. But you should check out your class and see if it's changed, maybe if you like some of the changes. And just think about, there's a lot more experimenting and builds to test out now. At the very least, it'll be fun to jump on and test out some cool new builds. Okay, so the final things I want to talk about are the difficulty system, the new difficulty system. There's been a lot of UI changes and things like that, but the new difficulty system is a pretty cool one. So instead of the monster power level system now, we have, actually there's 2 really important factors to this. We'll start off with the first one. Before we talk about the difficulty system, let's talk about the campaign. The campaign now, you don't have to play through 4 times. There's no such thing as normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno difficulties. It's just one, basically, campaign. I don't know how else to put it. Instead of those systems, instead of playing through and having, say, Act 1 normal is set to be a level 0 to 15 zone. That's how it was. Now instead mobs scale to your level as you're playing. So this actually makes like leveling in hardcore very interesting actually. You have to be really on top of upgrading your gear or the mobs quickly start to outscale you. But it also means you don't need to play through the campaign multiple times. You don't even really have to play through it once if you don't want to. You could just get to the zones you want to play. If you like only playing in Act 1, you can just clear up to the end of Act 1, then you can just farm Act 1 and the mobs scale with you. So as you reach level 25, Act 1 will become a level 25 zone. So that's the first change there. The second change is now the difficulty system change. So instead of the monster power system, we have normal, hard, expert, master. These get extra bonuses as you go. So bounties award extra double blood shards. That will only be in Reaper of Souls. And that's only Reaper of Souls feature there too. But in Torment difficulty, we have extra unique legendary items. There's a Reaper of Souls too. We get extra gold, legendary, and legendary drop rates per tick of this. So we've got the Torment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 levels there. And the difficulty system kind of plays a little bit differently to the monster power system. There's not an exact sort of correlation. I think Torment 1's it feels pretty close to MP4, MP3 to 4 maybe. but it's not a direct sort of changeover because of the other changes like lifesteal and to the way combat has been changed and the new elite affixes and all that sort of jazz changes the difficulty system a bit. But overall, it's just something a little bit different to play around with. This combined with the change to level scaling of mobs is really cool. Adventure mode is going to be the main way to play when Reaper of Souls comes out, but until then we can sort of farm any zones we want, and they'll scale to our level, and depending whichever level you are. So the leveling process is pretty fun now, I think, having played hardcore with this new level scaling system. But what's not actually in 2.0? What's coming in Reaper of Souls? We have the Crusader, we have levels 60 to 70 content, so 61 to 70, everything after there. We have the adventure mode, which includes bounties and rifts, so they're all in there, and obviously a lot of the new legendaries and everything that's after 60. And other than that, we have the Mystic and her crafting features like transmogging and re-rolling affixes on gear. Those are the things we get in the expansion pack, which those things are pretty awesome, but a lot of the changes like Blue 2.0, Paragon 2.0, the class changes, those three things together especially, are really good reasons to give D3 Vanilla another go again now, and I've been having quite a bit of fun playing with it. Man, it's the golden age of action RPGs right now, I'll tell you what. It's like D3 2.0, Path of Exile's having new expansion packs, Grim Dawn just got a new act. It's a good time to be an action RPG fan. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.